Welcome to Papercraft Possibilities. I am Susan, and today we're going to do something a little bit different than what we normally do, which are scrapbook pages. By the way, I would love to hear from all of you down below if you prefer scrapbook pages or cards, and I'm happy doing either. I just want to do what all of you want to see. So anyways, back to this. I'm working with the Inspiration Collaboration Design team, and today we are all using the exact same paper, and we're going to see what everyone comes up with in regards to a Valentine's Day card. All of the links will be down in the description for the other designers. They'll be down there, and I hope you will take a minute to go visit their channels. So today, here's the card we're going to create together, and there's some few fun things that I'll show you here so you know what we're doing. I've got a little bit of a pocket here where you could put in a gift card or a free box of C's chocolates, or any goodies would be appreciated, some movie tickets. And then when you open it here, it's a pop-up window. So hopefully you can all see that. Let's see. So it closes in like that. So let's roll that intro and we'll get started on these. Before we get started on the card, I wanted to go over a couple from my January card class. I have 4 packages left of the pre-cuts in our classes on January 31st here on my YouTube channel. So I wanted to show you the cards one more time. So this is one of them, and it's a fun fold that opens like that. I love doing fun folds, and you'll be able to tell that. Here is another one, and I made this to look a little bit more masculine, and that opens like that. And this one has some embossing on there, and that's all done for you when you receive the pieces in the mail. The only thing we can't do for you is stamping. So you could either use your own stamp, or I will also link what I used on these cards down below. And there's the interior of that. What's fun about these particular, a little bit more masculine cards is I used some paper from the Latte paper group. Last I saw it was low on stock, but it's a coffee paper and you would never think about using it on a Valentine's Day card, but it worked out great. And the last card in the class is this one. Pretty simple. So there is that. So let's get started on today's card. So all of the measurements going to be on my blog. So as soon as I'm done making this video, you can go over to papercraftpossibilities.net and go to the top of my page and you'll see blog. Just click on that and it'll take you to the measurements for this class. And I'll put a picture of the card at the top so you'll be able to find that even more easily. So let's go back to this before I cut. This is 3 1/4 by 2 1/2. And what's important here is you want to cut from this point to this point. So I'm going to put it here in the channel of my little cutting thing here, my cutting machine, whatever. I'm sure there's a formal name for it. I've just forgotten. When you're cutting point to point, just as a suggestion, you usually want to start in the middle of your paper because cutting straight to a point is sometimes hard on the paper. So there you go. And this paper we won't need, but this one we're going to use over and over. So please don't get rid of that one. To start our card, we're going to cut a piece of white cardstock, and we want the cut to be 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And we're going to come in with our bone folder. Let me put this aside. And we're going to just crease that with our bone folder. And now what we're going to do is we are going to take this, let me zoom you in a little bit more. You can either lay this on here and do this next cut. I personally like to make pencil marks. So I am going to come in with my pencil and make some light marks here. So you are now in your upper left-hand corner of this piece of paper that you just folded for your A2. So I'm going to bring back in my cutting little thing here, and I'm going to again line up. Hopefully you can see this. My little, I can zoom you in even more. I've got my little pencil mark here, and I've got one here, and I'm lining them up in the channel here. But please remember, do not cut. You're only going to score this. So take this, and you might want to run over it twice because you are going through 2 levels of paper at this point. And then you can flip this over, and you see score lines there. Hopefully, let's see if I can get that on screen for you. There you go. But I want to make it just a little bit bolder so the fold is really good on here. So I'm going to run over this one more time. Doesn't have to be as heavy, but I want to get more of a score line there. Put that aside for right now because we're going to need it again. So I'm opening this up, and I'm just folding this part over first. And I'm going to take my bone folder again and just doing that. Then I'm going to come over to the right-hand side and just do that. Fold that over where we've just made the score lines. And then I'm going to go back to the front. I'm going to erase my pencil marks. Now what you're going to do is you're going to fold this in and close it. So hopefully you can see you've got your crease here that you made, your score line, and then you have a score line here. You're going to fold that down on itself. Make sure you're happy with how everything lines up. If you have to kind of tweak it a little, now's the time to do that. Okay, take your bone folder again and just crease down or push down on all those lines so it kind of trains the paper as to where you want it to go. Now, I'm going to put that aside for a minute. Now I have 3 pieces of paper. There's one that I'm going to want for the inside. I'm going to scoot you out just a little again. There's one that I want for the cover, so I'll see which one I would prefer for the cover. I think I like this one. And let me tell you again, I'll tell you the cuts, but they will be on my website. So these are 5 1/4 by 4. I was looking over at my notes, and it's very important to get this step right. Ask me how I know. I messed it up previously. So you're going to pretend you're reading a book. So this is the cover, and then say these were glued together, the second piece and the first piece. What you want to do is, I know I want this for the inside, and I want this for the inside. So what you're going to have is your cover. Then you're going to pretend these are glued together. There's your inside and an inside. And that's how we're going to cut the next portion of this. So again, we're going to lay them up really closely together. I'm going to take the piece that I had cut as my template. Line these up again. We'll lay this down in the upper left-hand corner. And try and get it as accurate as you can. And I'm going to make a pencil mark and a pencil mark. I should probably tell you where this paper is from too. It is part of the Marbled Elegance paper collection. So if you wanted to go in and grab some of that, I apologize that before I started the video, I didn't look to see if it was available, but anyways, I will list it down below if it is available. If not, you might have some in your stash you could use. So, trying to find my pencil marks. Here we go. There's one. So again, I've got 3 sheets of paper just to make sure you've got what you want. And by the way, I made an error earlier because I wanted my hearts. Hopefully you can see those little hearts. I wanted them going down, and I had made the mistake of cutting it the wrong way. So just make sure you have that in a direction, the right direction you want before you cut, if your paper is directional. Okay, so once again, I've got a pencil mark here and a pencil mark up here. I'm just trying to be very careful. All right, and I'm cutting through 3 pieces of paper, so you might want to run your blade through there a couple times. Do not throw these away. We're going to use these, okay? So hang on to them. Just gonna put that aside for a few minutes. So now what we should have is your cover and 2 insides. For right now, put the inside pieces kind of over out of the way so you don't mistakenly use those. And we are going to bring back in this piece. So what's going to happen is this piece is going to go on here. But before we do that, let me bring back in our original. This is what we kind of want to get the front to look like, and we're only concentrating on this right here first. So I'm going to put my original and my base aside for a minute, and you only want a hair of this white to be sticking out. Okay, so when you've got that and you're happy with it, go ahead and tape that down. When I'm using foil, a lot of times I'm going to use score tape, tear and tape in the Stampin' Up! World, just because sometimes foil has a hard time of sticking. So my foil is glued to my white piece, and I am just going to hold this up here very carefully and cut off what I'm not going to need. I purposely cut these longer usually when I'm doing something like this because I like it to be right to the edge. So there we go with that. So our next step is going to be using our ribbon. So let me cut this in half. And I'm going to make a tear and tape sandwich. So what that involves, because sometimes the ribbon likes to scoot around, so I don't care for that. So I'm going to take 2 pieces, put them down, and I'm going to put 2 pieces here in my hand so I have them ready to go. And what I like to do with this is I'm going to bring in my pencil, and let me get a tape measure here, or a ruler, bear with me. And I want to see, this is a 4-inch piece, I believe. Yes. So what I want to do is I want to do a little pencil mark where the 2 inches is at. And I'll take this off later. But I'm just doing a little dot. And the reason for that, let me take off the layer, the release tape or release paper on the score tape on the back. Because I like to know where the center is. So we're going to put this in like this, and I'm going to turn it over, and I want to put the knot of these 2 ribbons right in the center. So there is my pencil mark, and what I like to do when I'm doing this is put the knot, if you will, right in the center, and I'm going to hold my finger on it. And then I'm going to take my tape here on the left-hand side, tuck 1 piece of it under and another piece of it under, kind of offset from each other. And it looks like I needed to go a little bit more, so let's pull that off and try that one more time. Okay, I'm holding it at the pencil mark. I'm pulling kind of tight there. And let's do this one at the pencil mark. Or when I say pencil mark, it's right here at the 2-inch mark. Then I'm going to take this one and pull that down. Make sure I'm happy with where it's at. I think I want it to go a little bit more of an angle. We have this one. I think I'm pretty good with that. This one seems to be a little bit farther off, so let me readjust that a little. There we go. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put my other part of my scoring tape sandwich over here. All right, I've got my tape in the back of here, and I want to probably, I would say it's about 1.25 inches, maybe 1.125 inches from the bottom there. You just put it where you would like it and push that down. So the last two things we want to do on the front here are a couple of hearts, and one I'm going to glue down and the other I'm going to put on some 3-dimensional. So for the first one, I am going to do some glue. And what I think I've failed to mention is the Stampin' die set that I am using. And I just think it can be used for so many things. So here is the Stampin' die set, Hearts of Elegance. And you can see you get so much more inside. I'm still getting used to that with Stampin' Up, that there's so many more dies inside that are not mentioned on the outside of the package. I just happen to love this one. I think that would look really good on like a Tiffany box. So there is the set that I've used for all my stamps and dies on this card. Let's put that aside for right now. And now we're going to go back and concentrate on the inside of our card. So what we have here, go back to the center of the screen here, is when you do your pieces, they should look something like that. And you want them to come in about 1/4 inch from each of your score lines. So we have these taped down. Now we're going to go back to, you should have 3 pieces that we've set aside, the triangle pieces. We want to take the 2 that, well, there's 3, but you want to match them up to go in these corners. But what's going to happen is first just lay them down there and make sure you have the right pieces. See, this one is not correct. There we go. The other one matches up with the front paper. But we're going to take 1/8 inch off of the longest side and the shortest side. We've gone ahead and cut off our little slivers off of our longest and our shortest side. So now we're going to tape those down. You may want to use a score tape on this. I'm just putting it on my craft mat here that catches any of my extra glue. But because there are, a lot of pointy sides to this, you want to get taped all the way to the edges or glue, whatever you choose to use, so the sides don't pop up. Those little triangles can be, the pointy pieces can be kind of fragile. But see how I noticed that the hearts here are going upside down? I think I probably should have used this piece and I didn't catch that. So just FYI, learn from me. So there you go. An error, but we're going to go with it because we're just learning, right? So I've gone ahead and I've cut this die out, and just look how pretty that die is. I mean, the design it makes. And in particular on foil, I just think it's stunning. So again, part of that Stampin' die set that I had shown to you earlier. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to glue this down. And because the holes here some of the glue could, I doubt it, but could come out in the front. Just be very careful when you're doing this, but I want a really strong hold, and that's why I'm using the liquid glue. This is going to be set here in the middle of this pop-up. Get my hands out of the way so you can see. And what you're going to want to do is just do your glue or your tape on the left-hand side only. The other side will need to pop up when someone, the receiver of the card, receives it. They want that to pop up and not be stuck. That can be bad. So I'm putting a good amount of glue here, and I'm going to put it a little bit higher to the top, and I'm going to press down on that. While our heart is over there drying for the inside of our card, we are going to take 2 inside pieces. Again, the measurements will be on my blog. We are going to come in here, and you know what? I want to level up these cuts just a little bit more. They're not the same. So I'm just going to take a hair off of here, I think. Okay, so we are going to take our trusty template and we're going to again put it in the upper left-hand corner of your papers. I'm going to mark it with my pencil. And we're going to put both of those in at the same time and cut them like we've done all of the other pieces. So we're putting our pencil mark up here in the track and our pencil mark down here in the track. So you might want to take this over and just make sure you're happy with the way they fit. And I like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some stamping. And I like to do the stamping before I put anything down. I have a habit of getting my fingers in the ink. Oh my gosh, if any of you who've been with Stampin' Up! Forever, because I'm so used to close to my heart, I get ink all over when I open these. So any clues to how it can be better, let me know. All right, so going back to our stamping, I've got these all ready to go. What we're going to do is, first I want to bring in a scratch piece of paper just to make sure I'm good. So let's do our right hand side first. And this is the stamp that says love you. And I'm trying to keep my fingers out of my ink pad. And let's come over here and do a test stamp. Looks phenomenal. Now you're going to notice that the love and the U are a little quirky on that. Hopefully you can see. If I put it on the screen, you can see it. So I'm going to level up the U and make that level. And so it's going to make the love is going to kind of go up in a sweeping motion. So stamp it how you're happy, but that's how I'm going to try and get that together. I think, yep, I just put my hand in ink. Okay. So I'm making sure my U is straight as I can get that. And let's bring it down just a little. Perfect. Very happy with that. And put that to the side. So what we are going to do next is I have the stamp right here that is XOXO. And I'm going to put that right above the love you. Let's do a test stamp. Happy with that. Let me tell you, I'm so impressed with the quality of Stampin' Up! Stamps. I really am. I'm not just saying that. Very rarely do I have an issue. And that's even, with stamps, sometimes when you have, I'm just wiping this off, I got ink someplace. The first time when you use stamps, usually, sometimes because they've got production, like a film on them, they don't stamp great the first time and you have to prime them. I really haven't noticed that with Stampin' Up! Stamps. The quality is really good. Okay, so that's a good stamp. I like that. So let's come in here. Happy with that. So I'm going to put that aside so I do not touch it. And let's work on the other side. So what I did with this one is I have my heart here in the lower left-hand corner on the left-hand page. And if you have a lot to say to someone in this card, you don't have to put this there. It's completely up to you. And you also don't have to put a left-hand side on here. You could just leave it to the right. So that is your prerogative as the designer of your card. Okay, we're going to put those all aside. I'm going to try and close this up with leaving my fingers out of it. All right, we're taping this down to the left-hand side, making sure we've got even margins everywhere. And now we'll do this side. Okay, and on the inside, I used some of these gems. These are called the Drusy, I guess, D-R-U-S-Y adhesive-backed embellishments. And I'm using only the small ones here. Give it a little bit of glitz. Let's see. And one right here. So we've got that done. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take our front and put the front on. So I think that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and use my tape again. Now we're going to bring in the back piece that'll make our pocket. And this is cut to the, a standard size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we're going to go back and we should have one piece of paper left. So that is going to go like that. Now, I think it's okay. It is okay. It looks fine. But just so you know, when I made the error inside here, if I were to have used that where it should go, is these lines would line up perfectly. But, no one's the wiser, right? So I'm going to go in and put this down. And I want to make sure our margins are comparable to what we have on the front of our card here, because it's going to kind of look like one piece. All right. So the next thing we want to do, and I'm going to use liquid glue on this, is I want to come in and glue this side, this side, this side, and this side, but you don't want anything going on here. So I'm going to flip this over. And try and get the glue, fairly close to the sides, because you're going to be putting something down in that pocket. Depending on what you put in there, that'll be a little tricky. So you want to make sure you get it close to the sides. So I'm going to flip this over, kind of laying it down on my desk. And I'm going to scoot this over, and you should pretty much have it lined up, and you've got some wiggle room because of your glue there, okay? And then I've cut out 2 tags, and I'm simply going to glue those together. And you can use this however you want. I just have made something up, for instance, for my granddaughter, and she's of that age where she likes cold hard cash. Anyway, she's so sweet. She makes me smile anytime I talk about her. So what we did is I made this a pocket in itself, and I stuck some cash down in this pocket for her. So this is a complementary paper here to one side of this designer paper. And I've just used a complementary one, so it would kind of stick out there. And I need to get my ribbon. I'll be right back. And this was part of the design challenge that came to me. This came in my package of things that we're all using. So I'm going to really, I kind of doubled up this string. I'm going to have it, put the loop here like this. I'm pushing that through the hole. And then I'm going to take what's in my right hand and push it through those loops. And that's what gives your little tie tag there, or your strings. I'm going to cut them so they're a little bit shorter. And I'm just going to stick that down in the hole. So there we have our card. Now that we've finished our Valentine's Day card, I wanted to show you this card made up in a couple other ways so you can see it in a much different light. So here, obviously you can see that they're very different. Here I have used one of our die cuts from Stampin' Up! And this is for a masculine birthday card. And inside of it, used some red. And I didn't feel a need to be able to write anything. I didn't want to be able to write anything down, I should say, over here. So I just left it as is and just threw in some little bit of color there. And the person I have in mind for this card was just appropriate for this sentiment. It says, "Happy birthday to the life of the party." Yeah, this guy is a party animal. So that'll be his card. And then this one, I had someone special in mind too, of a thank you note I wanted to drop to someone. So obviously very feminine. This right here, the thanks, is part of some die cuts that are pre-made that you can get through Stampin' Up! And it helps when you want to do things, you know, real simply if you want to get a card done fast. Then I've used one of our die sets and cut this out, stamped it, and colored it with our Stampin' Blend markers. And on the inside, I knew I had quite a bit I wanted to share with this person. So I've left this side blank so I have more writing area. Again, I've done a die cut and done some Stampin' Blend marker coloring on that. And just, you know, a few other little stamps in here. So that gives you 3 different looks with the same card design that we did today. And don't forget about the class that I had showed you the cards to earlier. You can sign up online under my website, which is papercraftpossibilities.net. Just go to, there's a drop-down menu that says classes. You can sign up there. You can either pay for the class, which is $37. That includes your shipping. Or you can make a purchase of $60 or more before the end of this month. And I would be happy to send that card class to you for free. So there you go. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And thanks again to the design team. Make sure to stop down at the bottom at the description of the video and look for the links of the entire inspiration, collaboration, design team. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.